Yes, I'm still here, Hollywood. And coming up on today's episode, energy. She woke up Los Angeles for decades, bringing charm, sass, and smarts to the morning news like nobody else. Whether she was interviewing A-listers, bantering with co-hosts, or keeping it hilariously real on live TV, she became a local legend and a Tinseltown favorite. This is Still Here Hollywood. I'm Steve Kmetko. Join me with today's guest, LA Morning News fixture, and my friend, who my producer sneakily surprised me with, Dorothy Lucey. If this is your first time watching or listening to Still Here Hollywood, what took you so long? Even if you're a longtime fan, I have a favor to ask. If you feel it in your heart, please like and follow us on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to us. Or if you watch on YouTube, please subscribe. And with both, it would be great if you rated and commented on your favorite episodes. Thank you so much. And now, on with the show.
Surprise!
What are you doing here? What are you doing here?
That's your hello?
That's my hello. I'm a little surprised.
Surprise!
I haven't done my research on this.
Oh, gee.
I haven't done my homework.
Do you know anything about me?
No, nothing. Well, you're catching me off guard, Dorothy. I didn't know you were coming in today. This was a surprise. Attack. Emphasis on attack.
I wanted a cake to jump out of, but, I don't see one.
So we worked together. When was that?
10,000 years ago.
Was it that long?
Mm-hmm. Around the time of the T-Rex.
He shared an office with us, too.
No, you had your own office. I was in, with everybody else. But everybody else was like Ann Curry and...
I know. Paula Zahn and Chris Blatchford and Bill Sternoff, remember?
That office had a lot of fame. Pat O'Brien, a lot of famous
Jim
people
Lampley.
Did terrible things in that office over the years.
Yes. We won't go into that. Jim Lampley, Bree Walker.
Yep.
That was the period of time we were there. Mm-hmm. When I first got to KCBS, Connie Chung was anchoring.
Oh my! And was Brent Musburger there?
No, I'm not that old. Well, I guess I am, but we don't have to talk about that. You were, I learned, working with you, a political junkie.
I always thought I would work on Capitol Hill and failed at that, so went into television.
Instead. How did you end up in journalism?
Well, I went into school, I went to GW, thinking that I would do something, it was in D.C., but I wound up majoring in broadcast communications, which back then was like kind of a new thing. Like now I teach those classes and I say to my students, I was like one of the early broadcast journalist students.
What has surprised you? I did a little teaching also at my alma mater in Chicago, Columbia College. And what surprised me is how little they came in knowing.
And for me, how little I left knowing, because I didn't have a tape. We didn't, this is...
Right.
Back in the old days.
One of the classes I did was about on-screen presentation or on-air presentation.
Oh, I teach that.
Do you? That was the class that was that I was supposedly helming. And one day I sat down and had them watch the Kennedy assassination. They didn't know who Walter Cronkite was, which kind of surprised me. Of all the people, with the possible exception of Edward R. Murrow.
Yeah, who I've heard called Edward R. Morrow or Moreau. I'm like, no.
I know. Doesn't it surprise you how many things you hear mispronounced? Or one weekend when I was here watching, not calling you and watching television, it was...
we could have been hanging out.
It was KNBC. They were talking about the greatest year in movie history, which everybody knows is 1939, Wizard of Oz, Gone with the Wind, etc., etc. And the anchor...
What was It's a Wonderful Life?
I forget.
Okay, because that to me is the best movie ever made.
Oh, no.
We can disagree.
Okay, agree to disagree. That's a popular phrase. But she said 1938. So like, I'm screaming at the TV, 1938, it's 1939. If you're going to do this, do it right.
Oh my God. I think I'm going to have to interview you since you feel like you are not prepared to interview me. Steve Kmetko, who are you really?
I have no idea. And if you find out, don't tell me.
Do you know when we started working together, because you were there at CBS before me, I came there and I was like, why is this man better looking than me? Why am I working with a co-host who is prettier than me? But that was my welcome to LA. My co-host was prettier than me.
Oh, God, I could tell you stories, but it would make me sound like such a snot. There was a female woman that I co-hosted a weekend newscast with, who I thought was just stunning. And I found out she didn't want to co-host with me because I was
better looking,
so much younger than she was.
I think at some point, did we get an Emmy? I feel like I, at some point, gave a speech and said, what a shame that my co-host is so much better looking than me.
I don't remember that one.
We must have gotten some award for Studio 22, because I know I made that speech somewhere.
Well, it's got to be on tape. So, did you think you'd be doing this long? What are you doing now besides teaching?
I'm mostly goofing off. Teaching is my 1 day a week job. I teach one college class a semester, 1 day a week. Without sounding self-serving, I do a bunch of charity work, I goof off.
And you goof
and
off.
I have, an occasional boozy lunch with girlfriends. That's pretty much it.
It's wine o'clock somewhere.
Routinely try and ignore my husband, who retired recently and is around a lot.
And the eyes are watching. Tell me, I don't know what to talk to you about, Dorothy. I know everything about you.
I can tell stories about him. Should I tell stories about him?
Don't tell stories about me.
Do you know?
There are none.
I was thinking about this on the way here. It is such an odd memory I have. Thanksgiving once at your house.
Right.
And you must have had like a chef or a caterer. Why do I remember this? You had like a squash or pumpkin soup, and it was in a pumpkin. And I was like, this, California, wow, LA is fancy.
Well, a friend of mine was a caterer, and I wanted to have, I loved my home, and I wanted to have a Thanksgiving dinner. Kirk and I was with Kirk at the time. Mm-hmm. And so this friend of mine, I hired him. Mark was his name. And
he carved
Mark
those
Sheldon,
pumpkins beautifully.
And yeah, he had lots of great ideas, and it was a fun time. And nobody left early, which I thought was a good sign.
The whole way driving here, I was thinking about funny memories of us. And here's the weird thing. I have so many memories of you that you are not necessarily a part of. Like once, I guess you were sick and I sat in for you at the CBS Morning News, which was a huge deal because, I was, little local TV. You had moved on to network at that point. And I worked with your producers and it was all, very la-di-da for a local news person. And then the next day they sent me flowers and I was like, this is not local TV. And then I also thought about my baby shower, which you came to, and you didn't tell me till years later. I guess you thought it was Saturday, so you came Saturday, and then you came back on Sunday, which was the actual day of the shower.
Oh, I must have killed those brain cells. I don't remember that. I remember being there, and the shower was on the beach.
Mm-hmm. And I remember the person you were with, and I was sitting next to that person years later at some event, and I said, you were my baby shower, and he was like, oh my God, you're right, I was.
Okay, we won't talk about him. Not that there's anything bad to say, but I do remember Danny Tobias, one of the funniest people in the history of humanity. He knew somebody who was there who had won an Oscar like a couple of nights before or something.
No, it was David's cousin.
David's cousin?
My husband's cousin. Who, my husband's cousin was married to the person and is no longer married to the person who won the Oscar, right? And brought the Oscar to the baby shower.
And Daddy said, where do they keep the Oscar? And I said, probably in the glove compartment. And we had many laughs over that one. But it's just so strange for somebody to pull out an Oscar at a baby shower on the beach.
Somewhere I have pictures of us and my bump and the Oscar.
Okay, let's let the folks at home in on this. How old is that baby bump now?
Oh my God, that baby
Nash
is a married man. 27.
27. It's that long ago, huh? Mm-hmm. We were both still at CBS. Were you? You were still at CBS, weren't you? Or were you?
Where was I? No, I was at Fox then. I was trying to remember where was I pregnant? And what I remember the most, because I was doing the morning news, is sitting on the set with the hot lights and almost fainting a couple of times. You know, just because, I don't know, your body does all sorts of weird things when you're pregnant and and just thinking, I cannot faint. We are live. Don't faint.
I've had that feeling about throwing up. You could not throw up.
Don't throw up.
Oh, God.
Make it to the bathroom.
Yes. How did it feel the first time someone recognized you on the street as the lady from TV?
I think my favorite lady on TV story is I was in LA and I went back to New York to do a movie junket. And this is when cab drivers were cab drivers and had personalities. So cabbie picks me up at the airport and he's like looking at me. And he said, didn't you used to be on TV? Like, didn't you used to be somebody? I said, yeah. He said, what happened to you? And oddly, I didn't say I got fired, which happened many times. I said, well, I got a job in California and I moved to LA. And he said, is language an issue on this podcast?
No.
He said, why the fuck you do that? But New Yorkers just don't, I can't believe I said the F word.
Don't
in front
censor
of Steve
themselves.
Kmetko.
Oh, please. I've thought that word. I've never said it.
I know. I can't believe I said it. The other time, many years later, I was doing Good Day LA, and in the beginning, we had hash marks, which now everybody thinks of it as a hashtag, but that same mark means literally no one, not one human being is watching your TV show. And I was at the grocery store, and a woman came up to me, a stranger, and said, I don't think you need a facelift. And I looked at her, and then I realized I had said that morning on the show, oh my God, I need a facelift. I was like, oh, someone is watching. Someone is watching.
Well, you still do podcasts, don't you, with Steve Edwards and Jillian Barberie?
Yeah, we're thinking about starting another one.
What happened to the one you were doing?
Yeah, we get sick of each other. We had 20 years together. I get recognized more for my voice, so I don't know if that means I don't look the same, but people oddly know my voice.
I remember all the time people asking me if you did voice work.
And I tried, and I never got a job.
And they wanted to get in touch with you. And
never hired me.
there was Bert Burtis, who used to do Chicken Man back in the 60s. But he also had his own production company, and I used to see him at the Hollywood YMCA, and he would always ask me about you. And I don't know if I ever gave him your name and number or not.
Thank you very much. You did give me an excellent job once. You were doing the red carpet with Madonna for the opening of Evita, and you needed a co-host.
The world premiere for Disney.
Mm-hmm. That was big.
Yeah, it was pretty big.
Do you know my Madonna story?
No.
You probably know this. Okay, I'm in New York doing that show with Regis. I always said to Regis, I was on the one show that was not successful for you. Thank you, Regis. And there was, it's called New York Style. There was a DJ. This is like kind of before the era of the DJs, but he was kind of a big local celebrity in New York. And he asked me if I would interview his girlfriend. And he did a lot of favors for us. I was like, sure. And it was at the Limelight. I don't know if you ever knew that club. There was a church. Mm-hmm. You would go to the pulpit and get a drink. It was very strange. So it's rainy night in New York. I have to go all the way downtown. Oh no. To interview this person who I did no research on, the way you feel today with me surprising you. I had a name and a name of a PR person and walked into this like loud, crazy club. And I'm like, I'm looking for, and then this cute, very short, funny, sarcastic, energetic human is the person that I realize I'm supposed to be interviewing. And honest to God, I'd done no research. My question was sort of like, what's next for you? And what's next for her was like Borderline and Holiday. It was like literally a month before Madonna exploded into the world. That was the girlfriend. Ah. I feel I started her. Really, I launched Madonna.
I saw her early in her career at the MTV Awards when they were held at Radio City Music Hall. And I went as a guest. I didn't even have to cover it. But she was singing Like a Virgin. She was dressed in a wedding gown.
I remember this.
And she came like dancing down a wedding cake. And Bette Midler was hosting with Dan Aykroyd, and they had some fun with that. Who was your favorite person to interview?
Oh, I thought you were going to say co-host.
No. I know who that is.
Because do you know,
Steve Edwards.
I worked with Steve Edwards forever, and do you know, but he was always like, oh, you have other Steves. I'm like, yes, I do. I have other Steves that I love. You think I'd have a good answer for that, because people probably asked me that a million times. I think I always really enjoyed musicians and authors. I would always beg to have authors on the show, and the answer was usually no. And then, of course, we all love George Clooney. Nobody doesn't love George Clooney. Probably all the same people that you loved. Yeah, he's sweet to everybody.
Yeah, there's so many people who
don't come to play.
Who don't come to play.
Yeah. I mean, George, you would do a junket where he would do, 60 interviews in a day, and he was funny and nice to everybody, even if you asked really lame questions.
Right. Which I usually did.
No, I don't think so. That was my department. I once got in trouble with, remember Waterworld, like one of the worst movies ever made?
Kevin Costner.
I did that junket, and I guess I asked Kevin something about maybe the early reviews of the movie, or I don't know, something that he didn't like. And I mean, Kevin was always really nice, but he looked at me and he said, "What outfit are you with?" And I thought, oh, I'm going to get fired.
What outfit are you with?
And he didn't mean my clothes.
No, we're not supposed to ask those questions anymore.
All right, what are you wearing? You can't ask that
now?
anymore.
What made the chemistry so good between you, Jillian, and Steve?
You know, the word authentic is overused, but there were days, and I can say this because we are very close friends now. I mean, we're sisters. There are days Jillian and I just hated each other. And we really didn't try that hard to hide it. And Steve was always kind of the referee. You know, I mean, almost 20 years together. And it's just so funny. We talk about it now all the time because we adore each other now. Like, why did we really not particularly care for each other all those years? But I think the show was kind of like, it was news with a little bit of Housewives.
And we'll be right back. If you'd like to be more involved with us at Still Here Hollywood, you definitely can. Just visit patreon.com/stillherehollywood. You can support us for as little as $3 a month. You can get our episodes a day before they post anywhere else. You can see what guests will be coming up and submit questions for them. You can even tell us what stars you want us to have on as guests. You'll see what goes on before and after the episode, plus exclusive behind-the-scenes info, pics, video, and more. Again, that's patreon.com/stillherehollywood. I remember when they brought you in at E to test with me, and I was, because I told them to, and I was so hoping you would get the job. But I guess they offered you peanuts.
And they wanted me to quit my day job, which was Good Day LA. And as much as I wanted to trade Steve Edwards for Steve Kmetko, the money was terrible.
Oh, I had a co-host there for a while at the beginning who would ask me questions like, is it Miss Piggy or Mrs. Piggy? What? What are you asking me? And one time we had we did a feature on movies featuring lesbians, for lack of a better way of putting it. And I remember one of the sound bites, the director was a woman who said, sometimes I feel when I'm making a movie with a lesbian theme, I feel like I'm making a National Geographic film on how women have sex or women who procreate. And she turned to me and said, they can't really procreate, can they? She didn't know what that word was. They can't really have children, can they? We're on the air, you know that? We're live right now, so I can't say what I'd like to. Oh, God.
I just watched The Hunting Wives. A lot of lesbian sex in there, if you're interested.
Mm-hmm. I've heard about it. Not my cup of tea.
Well, My husband kind of enjoyed it.
Oh, well, I hear straight guys do go in for that kind of stuff, don't they?
I worked with an anchor in New York a million years ago at a morning meeting when somebody said, well, I think we were talking about a trial, and they said, well, it's going to be in absentia. And he said, where is that?
Oh, that's great.
And he was an anchor.
If the folks at home knew
how not smart we were.
What goes on when the camera's not on.
I remember, and I'm not going to say what it was, but I remember you said something on air, and this was before you could go viral, and you always denied that you said it. And maybe you said it, and maybe you didn't. But it was just a little flub, not a dumb mistake, just a flub, just something that you ran two words together. Which I've done many of those. I don't know if you remember that.
Did it have to do with the color purple?
Yes, it did. You remember that. And Steve was like, me? No.
No. People were waiting for me when the studio lights went off and they could come in. Did you just say, no,
No.
I didn't? And the fact of the matter is, someone had just told me a joke along those lines. And the punchline was, the colored people. And that's what I called the movie, on air. And it was like, I can't believe I did that.
And I have done stuff like that, too, that maybe I don't want to admit, but if you want me to, I will. But things, and then, of course, Jill was there to amplify it 700 times. But thankfully, this was still before you could go viral.
Right. Ay, ay, ay.
Hey, you're on TV live. Sometimes you're going to say
Shit
dumb
happens.
things.
Spit happens. Okay. I'm reading questions now because
You didn't research my life properly?
No, it's funny when you're sitting down with someone who you know.
I know, it's different. It's weird.
Yes, it's like
Yeah.
questions don't naturally come to you because you know the
Yeah.
answers beforehand.
It's like I always felt when I would beg to have an author on and say we had the author on, like Elizabeth Gilbert, because I was madly in love with Eat, Pray, Love, and I'd read the book like 4 times. And when she came on, I did the worst interview possible because I knew everything, so I didn't ask her anything.
Right.
When
did you know I was gay? The first time you opened your mouth, Steve.
No, it's funny. I probably knew when I got there because everybody knew. But when you first got there, because I know these stories from people like Connie Chung, nobody knew. And it was just like, the chicks were very excited. Because you had worked, you were a reporter like in the Inland Empire, and then you came into the office, and it was very exciting. And somebody figured it out somehow.
Yes, there was a producer, Tammy Taylor. Who,
of course.
We went out for drinks once after.
Beautiful girl.
Beautiful. And everybody drooled over her.
Beautiful.
And I remember we went out once and she point blank said to me, Steve, tell me, do you like little boys or little girls?
Oh my God. This was when you could say things like that?
Yeah. I said,
And you said?
I don't remember what I said. I was stunned that somebody would actually come out and ask me.
Well, she probably didn't want to waste another date if you weren't interested.
Ay.
So I probably knew.
Yeah.
Not that I would have known.
Oh, it's something that,
Because you didn't.
Flounce.
Well, and you didn't really publicly come out till sometime after that.
No, I didn't. I came out on the air at E!
Which was pretty damn brave.
Well, I was telling a story about, I just didn't feel like I could hide it any longer. The brutal beating of Matthew Shepard had taken place, and, that weighed heavily on me. And then I was interviewing Susan Sarandon for the movie Stepmom. And she said to me, what did you think of it? And I said, well, I thought it was a good movie. And in fact, I wanted to get out of the theater before the lights came up so people couldn't see me crying. And she said, Steve, come on. When you cry, women love to see a man who can cry. They'll line up around the block for a man who'll cry. And I said, yeah, but I'm gay. She said, oh, well, they like that even more.
And had you planned this at all?
No, but I, take into consideration the fact that it's Susan Sarandon and, a more welcoming. And it was just kind of an offhanded remark. And
then it changed things.
well, a little bit. The news director at E said to me, "You could have let us know ahead of time, because then we edited it. We edited it into the piece. It was a self-contained tape piece."
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "No, leave it in." So, anyway.
And people don't realize that was a brave decision.
Oh, at that time, yeah, in the 90s. Well, and now everybody's gay. Andy Cohen, Anderson Cooper.
You're like, I was first-ish.
Well, there's somewhere on Google, my brother-in-law told me, my brother-in-law who's married to my brother, told me that he had Googled me or something and said that I was one of the first people to be openly gay, broadcast journalist type thing. So
I always think of you as the first.
Hey, trailblazer.
What, if I may interview you,
Sure.
how was your family's reaction?
Well, my brother, who's also gay, didn't have a problem with
You have a
it.
big family.
Well, not so much anymore.
Yeah, big family.
But my parents, I tried to tell my father once, the Baptist minister father, and he held up his hand and he said, Steve, there was a time and place when people's private lives were private. Let's keep it that way.
I remember they would come to stay with you.
Oh, yes. And my boyfriend.
But they didn't really.
No.
Yeah.
And whenever they would leave, my mother would say to Kirk, thanks for giving up your bedroom. It was my bedroom. It was my bedroom too, Anyway, it is what it is. And hopefully things are changing.
Yeah.
Although,
I mean, they loved you dearly. They just maybe didn't want to really know.
Yeah. Yeah. Different generation.
Yeah.
You went through a tough period not that long ago with the passing of your mother, right?
Yeah.
She lived with you for a while. You took her in for a while.
Yeah.
Which was really nice, very sweet. And you looked after her, but that's the kind of person you are.
But that's the kind of person my mom was, And she passed during COVID, not of COVID, although we kept, she had a nurse and she had people who would come in to help us bathe her and take care of her. And we kept having to get rid of everybody because everybody got COVID. Her nurse had COVID. My mom never got COVID. But she did die during that time. So I really felt like it was hard to celebrate her as she should have been celebrated, And my dog Millie, who really was my other soulmate, and I knew that Millie was kind of iffy too at that point, but I really thought Millie would be there to help me get through Mom. But Millie died, and then my mom died shortly after. And I guess it's kind of a weird reaction. I couldn't even tell people. And at some point, David said to me, "You have to tell people, my mom was my mom to all my friends. I mean, all my girlfriends kind of considered her mom number two. I couldn't even say the words,
It's hard.
Yeah.
Very hard. Okay, let's lift the spirits.
I know, not to continue this, but I know you, I know a lot of grief you've walked through, and I've been there for some of it.
Yeah, you have been. Rough.
Yeah.
Well, that's a lot of people talk about a television network or station you work for. People become like family. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's true in all businesses or not, but as you know, my sister died tragically while visiting me. Mm-hmm. I came home and found she had drowned in my swimming pool. And that very night, so many people from Channel 2 came over with food, just to sit there and be comfort, because it was such a shock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I really remember, just sitting there with you.
And me boo-hooing between glasses of wine. Yeah. Some host I was.
Got to cope the way you cope.
Yeah, you do.
That was shocking.
I remember this one line that you told me that your boss said to you at Good Day LA, that you made his eyes bleed?
My voice, yeah.
Your voice made his eyes bleed.
Yeah. And people have asked me, did he really say that? I'm like, do you think I would make that up? I would have at least said ears bleed if I was going to make it up. We were blessed for a long time to have a wonderful boss, and you don't always in news. But after Jose left, came in someone else, and he said my voice made his eyes bleed. And then shortly after that, I actually sort of got fired at the Oscars. I did my morning live shot because, we were a morning show. And the Oscars, it's like a 28-hour day. Mm-hmm. And I got called back to the office because I was out there on the red carpet at 6 a.m. when literally no one else is out there to have a meeting with my news director. And I had kind of a big day planned. I mean, I had to hair and makeup, and and people maybe don't realize the Oscars start at like noon because you have to be there so early for security. And so I go running back to the office, and he was relatively new, and he said to me, "Look, we're only going to give you a 3-month extension on your contract."
On that day, he chose to tell you that?
On that morning, and I said, "Okay," thinking. He just doesn't know me. He's new. He wants to kind of feel it out. I didn't realize in 3 months he would be firing my ass. So we started the process of being fired that morning. But I really never thought I was getting fired until I got fired. Because our show was still pretty successful.
Yes. Good Day LA weren't you number one on the radio series?
We were number 1 or number 2 with KTLA. We always went back and forth. And then, there was the Today Show and GMA, but we were number 1 a lot.
As opposed to the morning show I was with, CBS This Morning.
Oh, God, I forgot to mention that. You were gone at that point. That's why they tanked.
I think in whenever there were articles about us, it always said perennially last place. That was part of our title. Perennially last place, CBS This Morning.
But they sent flowers occasionally to people.
Not to me. They sent them to you. Julia Roberts sent flowers to me once.
Julia
so did
Roberts.
Whoopi Goldberg.
Julia has always liked you.
She was terrific.
Yeah.
I was telling Jim just last week, I was watching CBS This Morning. They have a new show called CBS Plus with Tony DeCopel and I forget the female co-host.
And I'm sorry, I don't watch morning news anymore ever since I did get fired from it.
Well, up pops it's so funny when you've been out of it so long. Up pops an interview with Julia Roberts, and I'm conducting it, and they used a lot of 2 shots and reverses, and they're like, oh, well, this is fun.
She lives in Malibu, and she's been there forever, and I've been there forever, and I've seen her a few times, but she's really not recognizable when she's out and about.
Yeah.
But I know she always liked you.
Ooh, I always liked her, too. It was funny once I was doing an interview for Notting Hill.
Oh, I love that movie.
Yeah, and the junkets were done in London, and we sat up.
Oh my God, we had such a good job back then.
Oh, didn't we? And we set up in a hotel someplace, and I said to the cameraman, because I'd interviewed her a number of times at that point, I said, be rolling when she walks in because she'll come up behind me and hug me, which is exactly what she did.
You're like, that has to be on camera.
And he said, yes. And he said, how did you know she was going to do that? I'm just smart. I liked her a great deal. A lot of people must ask you, too, what is so-and-so like? You spend 10 minutes with them at most. It's not like you're hanging out with them.
Right. I mean, I have, funny moments with people. Like, long time ago, I was interviewing Jane Fonda, and she was once, I don't know why she was interviewing me, but she was asking me about my eating habits because, she was doing all the health stuff. And I said to her, you probably know this, I said, I eat like a toddler. And if I could have See's candy for breakfast, then, that would make my day. And she said to me, you have to stop that in about 5 years or you're going to die soon. I'm like, okay, thank you, Jane. And you have these, you're right, it's a moment in time you have with somebody, but sometimes it's very memorable.
Sometimes it is. One of my most memorable was Betty Davis.
Oh, she loved you too. I remember this.
Oh, she's wrote me a lovely little note, and I had a great time with her.
What are you not saying?
Oh, no. The one story it was funny, the one story that she said, I asked her what it was like working with Lillian Gish in Whales of August, was the last film or last big movie she did. And she said, Miss Gish never should have left silent pictures. Which Did you rehearse that? I wanted to say. But, she was a classic example of somebody who comes prepared.
Yeah.
There's celebrities who come and have nothing to say.
And many actors like a script.
That's one of my theories. They become actors or actresses. Well, I guess they're just actors now, because they have no personality to call their own.
Like
and they need someone to supply one.
So long ago, because I was in New York and I was interviewing Sophia Loren, which was such a moment for me. And we were sitting down and, obviously I'm quite taken with her, but we're, setting everything up. And the producer asked me something and I said, no, you're off the hook. And she turned to me and said, what does that mean? And I said, it just means he's done. He doesn't have to do what I thought he might do, as I smash into your microphone. And so we do the interview and she's lovely. She learned the name of everybody in the room. Who does that? And she was just lovely. Great interview. We finished and I said, okay, we're done. And she said, I'm off the hook. Like little moments like that.
I interviewed her too for Grumpier Old Men. And here was this, I talk about icon, that word is overused, but she is an icon. Mm-hmm. And I remember she walked into the room, she was wearing a Giorgio Armani suit. I know, because I complimented, because it was fitted so beautifully. And she came in, and she turned to her assistant. She had one person with her, not an entourage, one person. And she said, can I have a mirror? They gave her a hand mirror, and she went, and she said, okay. That was it, and we started. And which was, I don't know, I remember once I had to wait a long time for somebody to get made up. They came not made up. And
I waited 8 hours at a junket for Johnny Depp, and I was one of the last interviews, and he decided to leave early. Oh, okay, bye.
Why is that?
But then years later, he did a concert with his band for a charity I was working with, so I was like, all is forgiven. But I think we were supposed to talk about me getting fired, were we not?
Oh, yes.
Which we don't have to go back to that topic, but...
So,
so 3 months later...
What do you do when somebody says you make their eyes bleed?
Oh, well, that should have been my hint that I was getting fired. But he didn't say that in the actual 2-minute meeting where he actually fired me. So one day, I got called into the news director's office, and he said to me, we want to do a smarter, nicer show. And I just said this to somebody recently that it sounds so obnoxious now, but back in the moment, I guess it dawned on me I was being fired. And I said to him, I thought I was the nice, smart one, but apparently not. And honestly, it was a 2-minute meeting.
Really?
Mm-hmm. So I figured a minute for every decade I'd been there. It happens. It is in many ways a gift when I look back on it, but it wasn't I always call it the gift wrapped in shit. Here I using bad language again. But it is, it doesn't seem like a gift at the moment, but eventually you realize it's a gift.
Yeah. When I was at CBS and I really wasn't actively out there, we had a news director who somebody told, and he pulled me aside in the hallway and he said, you're not going to march in any parades, are you?
The stuff people could say to you then.
Yeah. You're not going to, make an issue of this, are you? No, are you? I'm glad things have changed. We'll be back for more in a moment. You've covered hard news, red carpets. Mm-hmm. You've done talk shows, mm-hmm. podcasts. Mm-hmm. Which Dorothy has the most fun?
Kind of like the podcast thing, because I'm probably saying things that I shouldn't say. Not enough to say, please edit this out, but I might have second thoughts later. You're just very authentic, You're just talking.
Right.
But I think on Good Day LA, which, I've had many jobs that I loved, and I didn't always love getting up at 4 a.m, but that would be the job that I truly loved.
Yeah.
Because, we're sitting on a set for 3 hours a day, drinking coffee, giving our opinions. What is wrong with that? Getting paid for that. And you know what? Steve Edwards, very wise man that I worked with forever, an icon in LA, always said to Jillian and I, you have no idea how lucky you are. And now she and I say to each other, we have no idea how lucky we were. And I love that you had Jillian on the podcast.
She was a great guest. My feelings originally were tempered by the way she treated you on Good Day L.A.
We had our moments. But we talk about that now all the time. It's funny.
Yes.
We don't even know why we didn't like each other.
Well,
I mean, there were little things that happened, but stupid little things.
but little things never feel little at the time they're happening, usually. When are you writing your memoir?
You know, I like to write. That was always kind of my favorite part, writing the story. You know, getting on air and delivering it wasn't always my favorite part. I'm writing. We'll see. How about you?
I've been writing, and I have a woman who's a publisher who's interested. She has 3 complete chapters. She only needed 3 to take it out and try and pitch it.
You're ahead of me.
And I'm working with a young man who is, you know, I wrote a lot. I don't know. Did you keep a journal?
No. Stupid.
A lot of times I sat down and wrote, you know, what I was thinking that day or what happened. And so I think it's pretty good, if I do say so myself.
Well, and, you know, we probably can help each other with 10 million stories that you've forgotten or I've forgotten about each other. And also, I think anytime you think of like a Julia Roberts, or 10 million stories come to mind. You know, you start to remember all of it.
Yes. What else? It's a strange business, isn't it?
It is.
TV news?
I've counted. I've been fired or canceled, which has a different meaning now than it did then, but 10 times.
10 times?
10 times. So, as I tell my students, try not to take it personally.
So that's like once every 3 years?
Apparently so.
Yeah.
Some jobs were a lot shorter. So I told you about when I got fired. You know, I never knew the whole story of you getting fired. You never told me the whole story.
I don't know why. Maybe I got tired of talking about it.
No, I don't think you ever talked about it back then.
Oh, well. That's because, you know, part of the stigma in Hollywood is you don't want to tell people how old you are, who you're dating, who you've slept with.
Or when your, as we like to say, contract was not renewed.
Right.
Which is a nice way of saying
we're going in different directions.
You're fired.
Yeah. Well, the one job I had in Grand Rapids, Michigan, when they were about to promote me to their weeknight anchor, and they even had the schedule typed up. The newsroom secretary said, "Here, this is for next week," and there I was, hosting the 6 o'clock news, and then I got called in because somebody decided to tell the general manager that I was gay. And
Okay, did not know this.
Oh, he asked me all kinds of questions. And at the time I was living with Kirk, and I called my brother and said, "What do I do?" And he said, "Just, you know, when you go up and have your meeting, just be honest." And I was. And he said, you know, "Well, you better start looking for a job someplace else because you're not going any further here." Okay. And that was that.
Oh, my.
And the next place I went was Louisville, Kentucky, where they loved me and I loved them.
Yeah.
It was a great place.
So, see, it's a gift wrapped in shit.
It's a gift wrapped in shit. Yeah. So, and then here, you know, at CBS, I never felt comfortable. It's funny, there was a reporter we worked with who was quite well known and well liked, who one day cornered me in my office and he said, "Steve, I need to talk to you about something." I said, "What?" He was married and had children. "I think I'm gay." Okay, what can I tell you? Keep it to yourself. Yeah,
Did he ever come out?
Yes.
Okay.
But, you didn't have a lot of people to talk to. You had no examples. You had no one to look up to. No,
Yeah.
Nothing to base your life on,
Right. And that's
which people don't
pre-Anderson
understand. Yes. Yeah. And even he has just recently talked about being gay, even though I think it's been an open secret for a long time.
So what happened at E? That's the story I never really knew.
Oh, well, we had much like you, we had a boss that came in who really didn't know the business. She was she worked in a law firm and came in to take over this entertainment network. And I made it pretty clear right off the top that I was gay to the powers that be because I didn't want to have to deal with it. And I was told by somebody else who worked there, who was gay, that they tried to start a support group for people who were gay, and they found they didn't need one because everybody felt pretty comfortable, and it wasn't really an issue. But then it's been a while since I've told this story. My contract was being renegotiated, and
Always a precarious time.
always. And at the same time, I had this kid who was a regular viewer, and it was early days of internet, and he got an assignment where he went to college to create a website for somebody famous. So he wrote me and called me and said, would you mind? I said, no, not at all, go ahead. So he sent me questions and asked them, and I answered them, and he pulled freeze frames off the TV, when I was doing a show, and he was a very sweet kid. And so I thought, when I was renegotiating, I thought, hey, why don't I use this? He built up quite a following, and so I said, hey, if you like what I'm doing, they're negotiating my contract right now. Write the boss and tell her that you like my work, or you think they should keep me around. And that set her off. I was betraying the network. I was infringing on their intellectual property. Me, intellectual. And I told she asked me if I had written a letter like that. No. And they had somebody in the IT department go through all of my emails because I had done it on a company computer, and that's what she based her findings on. You did it on a company computer. You didn't do this at home, so that was that. And
How ridiculous.
And then I had a number of interviews afterwards, and I didn't land anything, which, as it turns out, shit turned to, what do you call it?
A gift wrapped in shit.
Gift wrapped in shit. Worked out okay because my parents were getting up in years, and I couldn't find work here, and I couldn't afford to live here. And so I went back to Chicago and tried to help them out, which I did. And I was there when they passed away. So in that regard, it was a gift wrapped shit. Gift wrapped in shit.
Because you don't want to have that regret. It's one thing to regret losing your job, but what I always think about is I was gone every morning. So if my son had gone off to college and I had never driven him to school or made him breakfast, I would have had some sort of breakdown.
You made him breakfast?
Well, here's some oatmeal, I'll microwave it. But
I never knew that about you.
But being fired right when he was going into high school, he probably wished I was a little busier. But it was nice that I had that time.
Yeah.
It was always a great mom job anyway, doing a morning show. I never missed a field trip. Right. I was always, I was done at 10 a.m.
And you were good with current events, I'm sure.
But I was glad that I had, like those mornings with him, and you had time with your parents.
Yeah.
There are some regrets that are way bigger than others.
So anyway, The general
How
manager
stupid. How they,
came to me and said, "Did you write that?" No, I didn't. I lied. And people lie in Hollywood all the time.
Apparently in politics, too.
Yeah, so
This
yeah,
is
yeah.
why?
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, you were their star.
And in fact, when I went and did these interviews afterwards, people who had me in, the reason that I kept getting back, which I still don't understand to this day, was you're too closely associated with E. What does that mean?
I don't know. We're in such a different time now.
Yeah, we are.
When Jillian left Good Day LA, she said when they were firing her, she said, "Have you looked at my Twitter following?" It was called Twitter then. And she had a this is kind of early on, but she had a ginormous following. And the same news director who said I made his eyes bleed said, nobody cares about that. And it was like a week later, they had like a scoreboard in the newsroom from a telethon of how many followers you had and how many times you had tweeted. But, they didn't care when they were firing her. It's a crazy business.
It is. It is. And we survived.
Jillian and I always laugh because, we did our show, which was 2 hours. And then for a time, the third hour was a national show. It was a syndicated show. And it's somewhat complicated, but she got fired first from the national show, but still did our local show. But then I got fired first from our local show after our national show was already gone. Everybody should get fired a few times. It toughens you up.
Well, you have no choice in this business.
Yeah.
So what do you think you're going to do next?
Well, you inspired me to write a little more. I'm teaching my one class, my 1 day a week job. And, the charity I've worked for, I haven't since COVID. I need to start again. I volunteered on a bunch of missions. I mean,
I know you've been everywhere.
It's an interesting way to see the world. Yeah.
What is the one you call, there's one in particular that the title of it gets me in a good way, where you're rescuing young kids who need surgery or something. What's it called?
Mending Kids.
That's it. Mending Kids. That's
Yeah.
a great name for a charity.
I mean, it's kind of Doctors Without Borders, but for little kids. And I feel a little self-serving saying it, but other than my son, that's been one of my favorite things in life, volunteering there. I'm such a good volunteer. My husband's like, get a paying job again. Enough volunteering.
What kind of a mother-in-law are you?
I think I'm a fun mother-in-law. Oh. Now, we might have to ask Emma, my daughter-in-law, which sounds almost funny to say, because they were living with us for a little while.
Are you a hands-off mother-in-law?
I am if you want me, I'm here mother-in-law, I think.
That's good.
I think I was kind of a helicopter mom. Hopefully I'm not a helicopter mother-in-law.
Yeah. Okay. I think we're done.
Okay. Surprise.
Surprise, yeah. I did not know this was happening.
What did you think when I walked in? Why is she here?
Yeah, I thought, yeah, I did think. She happened to be in the neighborhood, so she stopped by.
I can't see you any other way.
Oh, that's not true. We had a wonderful dinner back in December, you and David and I. I had a good time. And I hadn't been to that restaurant because it's fairly new. What's it called?
Bodega Louie.
Bodega Louie.
Perhaps we could go out to dinner again sometime, my old friend.
Okay.
Still Here Hollywood is a production of the Still Here Network. All things technical run by Justin Zangerly. Theme music by Brian Sanishin. And executive producer is Jim Lichtenstein.